Okay, let's say you've exhausted the full-length poses, or hopefully with what I've taught you, you'll never run out of poses ever again, whether it's standing up and you know how to change those digits of that phone number that I was telling you about, but you want to just simply a different look, and you want maybe to get the bride sitting down. Where do you begin? How do you actually work with the bride sitting down? Well, first of all, sitting down I find easier to direct and pose when you're far away, because right now she's sitting down, but I can't really see what she looks like. Now, yes, with experience, I know the starting off point that would be better than what I've got now, but let's start with this. So Lisa's just sitting down normally, she's comfortable, nothing fancy. Now, does this look good? Well, Lisa, it's very hard to make Lisa look bad, but let's, for example, uncross your legs for a moment, and you can see how right now that there's really not much shape to her. She's basically sitting down. We're foreshortening her legs, which is sometimes in this particular position almost impossible because she's, to avoid, because she is sitting and she's bending her knees upwards. Of course, as I go lower, I'm not going to get any of her thigh. I'm literally just getting little nubby knees coming out of her hips, and that's going to look a little bit weird. If you crop or you hide it, depending on what you're doing, that's okay. In this position, I actually don't mind it because we do have some length and it actually works really well. The problem is that she is sitting flat butt-cheeked, for want of a better phrase, and there's no feeling there, there's no finesse. So if you ever wanted to photograph a bride seated and facing the camera, I find there's only a couple of ways that will work. Certainly we can adjust the hands in countless ways, but the way I like to do it is I like to get, without moving the chair, I want you to move your butt a little bit more into the chair. And then shoulders back, I want you to lean forward with your chest. Do you see how even now that she's a bit more proper, okay? But the legs, again, look a little bit flat. There's no finesse in the lower part of the body. What I want you to do now is I want you to cross your right leg over your left. Now, so you see how now she has a bit of a platform. Automatically, she put her hands on her lap, and that actually worked. But there's still no finesse in the sense that it's just proper. This is almost a bit too proper. How could I make it work? Well, I can certainly use the flowers. But before I do that, I'm going to get you to bring your shoulders back, lean forward with your chest. I know that you're actually just leaning your right leg over your left, but I want you to bring your right leg up a little bit higher. Now do this for me. Gorgeous. Shoulders back, and just tilt your face this way, turn your face that way, and chin up. Beautiful. And do you sort of see how very quickly, even though that she's facing the camera, I'm getting a little bit of shape and design. I love the fact that we're turning her face to the right. I'm photographing her favorite side of her face, which we discussed. And the hands are very beautiful. They're just draping over nicely. Usually I would sometimes put the ring hand over the other one. Let's just try that. Do you see how I'm emphasizing the hand with the ring? And then that works. Now, if I changed the position of her body and did a similar pose, it's amazing how different it will look. So let's do that. I'm going to need you to stand up, Lisa, there for a moment. And do a similar pose for me. So take a seat. Okay, great. So keep that leg there. I'm actually happy that you did that because that's actually wrong. So do you see, I've always said to you, bend the knee that's closest to the camera. Almost in any capacity, there's very few situations where that doesn't apply. What she's done without thinking is she's put her left over her right. And I find that if, in that position especially, if her right was over her left, it's going to be a lot more finessed. Let's do that. Switch legs. Do you see how now as well, not only does it look more finesse and there's a better shape, if let's say, for example, she was either slightly plus size or even she's just a normal person just like you and me and had a little bit of a belly, this is going to be good because it's going to soften her a little bit and it'll work really well. If she was wearing a dress, let's say, that had exposed legs, because every so often you might get a bride's dress that's a little bit shorter, then this is also very, very important to know that this is going to work better for you. Do you see how her left arm and her left wrist is pointing towards the camera? This is basically, again, foreshortening her arm. Now, there's some situations it's almost impossible to get rid of based upon the context of the pose that you're doing and the angle that you are. But what I can do in this situation is simply extend her left hand this way and then bring it down again. So bring it down on your wrist. And do you see how now her elbow's a bit more into her, and now there's a bit more length? Now, if I wanted to finesse that pose a little bit, bring those shoulders back. You see how, again, her chest looks fuller and firmer? Arch the back a little bit. Good. Chin up a little bit. Now you can tilt the face this way, turn the face, chin to the shoulder, and then eyes back at the camera. Arm off the body a little bit there too. Beautiful. And the shoulders back again last minute. Put the hands like that more. Gorgeous. Switch hands. I think in that context, that looks better actually. Beautiful. It works really well. A simple adjustment here. Watch what happens now when all I do is actually use the back of the chair for a little bit of finesse. So you see how you're pretty much in the center of that chair. Lisa, I want you to come a little bit more to the left of it. Now turn it slight touch this way. Your elbow right here. Perfect. Let's have a look. All right, guys, so there's a couple of things. First of all, I love the fact that the elbow is on the chair and the softness of her hands. Remember, her hand is going to look better, her right hand or camera left, if it comes a bit more into her body. That's it, so beautiful. And yeah, just nice and relaxed. And let the air out a little bit there now. Beautiful. Now, do you see how with my suggestions, I basically said that we're going to bend the leg that's closest to the camera. In fact, the right leg is the one that's closest to the camera, therefore it is bent. Now, her left hand and arm are draping, but they're actually sort of pointing a little bit more towards the camera, and it's forming a very, very straight line, which I don't really like. So what I'm going to do here is a couple of things. Either extend it, and now bring it on the knee, and extend it so that basically it's sort of like this. And then bring the elbow back a little bit and then turn your hand more that way. That's it. Now, extend it a bit more and then shoulder back. So something like that can actually work, but I find that something like this, as the hand on the body to sort of mirror the other hand in a different way would be beautiful. So just bring your hand just on the top of the chest. That's gorgeous. Tilt the hand, turn your face, chin up a little bit. Gorgeous. Shoulders back. Fantastic. And that works really, really beautifully. And again, if she's got flowers, she could hold the flowers right at her waist there. And this is a beautiful classic sitting down portrait of the bride. Now, where the opposing leg, the left leg, should be bent if she rolls her hips even further. Let me explain. So, I might get you to stand up for this one, just for a moment. So what I want you to do, Lisa, is this. I'm going to get you to sit down right here. You're going to roll your hips so that this leg is over this one, and you're still going to put your elbow here. Does that make sense? Okay, so start there, roll your hips over. There you go, perfect. It's gorgeous. So do you see how I've broken my rules, so to speak, but for very good reason? Look how beautiful she looks there. And actually, her left hand looks even, it makes more sense. Bring your knee touching that chair if you can. And you see how we've got this beautiful curve. And again, bring this face this way, chin up a little bit, gorgeous, shoulders back, nice and tall and straight and gorgeous. Now, let's look at her left elbow. Do you see how she's bending her arm up, but from the angle in which this camera is actually seeing her, it actually looks straight. If all I do is mirror the shape of her curves with her elbow by simply bringing the elbow back. So now her arm and her bicep and her elbow are mirroring the shape of her body, and that hand is draped really beautifully, and that can work really well, really well. Do you see how I've broken my rule, but it actually looks good? That left is over the right, but it works. Why? Because her hips are rolled around. It actually looks really beautiful. Okay, so now it's the groom's turn. Okay, Dylan, let's get you over here. I want you to pretend like you're sitting down watching your favorite game after 5 minutes. What would a guy look like watching TV after 5 minutes? Let's have a look. Yep, pretty slouchy, sort of, yeah, pretty typical. Look a bit clumsy and all that kind of stuff, but it's a guy being a guy. We're not going to change. This is how we sit. Now, we want to look better. How do we do that? Especially the fact that we're wearing a suit. We want to look formal, we want to look beautiful, and look cool. So now I'm going to get you to sit up straight. Let's see if that works. Bring your backside right into the edge of that. Okay. Okay, so now you're sitting straight. The problem is now, again, what he's doing with his hands is hiding his crotch because it's still a bit awkward and uncomfortable. Let's say if he brings his knees together and he put his relaxed fist on his knees. This looks like a sports photograph. It looks like he's, in primary school or whatever it is, and it looks a little bit awkward. Now, if I asked him to part his knees, that's the way I ask it. I never say to a guy or a girl for that matter, spread your legs. It just sounds terrible. So parting your knees, parting your feet is the best way to say that. So what I want you to do is now, rather than sitting, see how your backside's right in? I want you to sit right on the edge. Okay, so now, okay, this is quite a strong, somewhat even aggressive pose. It basically means he means business. Okay, he looks really cool, but there's still something wrong. At least we're hiding his crotch with his hands, but something doesn't feel right. It's the angle. It's just a little bit too confronting. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get you on a bit of an angle. And actually, we could even leave that there. What I want you to do is take butt there. Yep. What I want you to do is I want you to put your left foot forward and your right foot back. Yep, so left foot forward more and a bit more this way. Cool. Do you see how that looks a lot cooler for a guy? So one, if you're looking for like a normal guy like me, I'm like, yeah, I could lose a few pounds in my belly here. This is great because it's going to be hiding his belly. His chest and his shoulders are close to the camera, and his waist is further back, and he looks cool. He actually looks cool doing it. Now, yes, in the context of this grand scheme of things, I'd be cropping up a lot closer. But for the sake of the argument in our posing tutorial right now, I'm showing you the context to understand the beginning point. But do you see how his left leg is forward and his right foot is back? Watch what happens if we flip it. So see how something doesn't feel right now. It's almost like he's got nowhere to sort of put his arms. So the left foot should be a bit forward, the right foot a bit back, and we hang the body down a little bit. And of course, this is dependent on the chair. If the chair's really low, he might look a little bit awkward and clumsy leaning too far forward. So you either get a taller chair or you can bring him up a little bit. So just come up a little bit with your body there for me, Dylan. There you go, cool. And we're relaxing our body. And he can look off to the side, for example. That's it, looking really cool. But it's got a really cool, strong sort of masculine look. He can also just cross his arms while he's there. Yep, but again, we're hanging our bodies. Remember, when you're posing a guy, you don't want to stand too straight. You know, when we talked about the V or the C in terms of posing, well, this is the C. It's probably the other way, but you know, you get that sort of that curve in a masculine sense, not the S curve that we often talk about in terms of a bride. Now, what I want you to do is, a cool shot for a guy is this. Take a stand up for me again. I want you to straddle. Okay, so just take a seat and then just rest your arms wherever they fall right there. Guys love this pose because it's very, very cool. It will hide your crotch. It will basically hide a belly. And of course, it's a great way of showing off the little detail that guys have. Because of course, girls have so many accessories to photograph. Guys usually barely have a watch and maybe cufflinks, a tie perhaps, all that kind of stuff. But this is a cool shot because he looks strong. The cufflinks are showing if you had cufflinks, and watch perhaps if it is. And the cool thing is it works well. Now personally, I would not do it from this exact angle. It's too front on to me. What I want you to do now is grab the chair and yourself, twist it a bit this way. Yeah, that's cool. It looks right there. I love that on a bit of an angle as well. He just works well. It looks cool. Now, what happens if that chair, the back of the chair is really, really high? This is what you do. What I want you to do, mate, see how you're sitting pretty much in the center of the chair? I want you to, your right butt cheek is still on the chair. This left butt cheek is off. So, exactly, perfect, perfect. I want this hand rest here and pretend like this is a high top. Yep, just there. Perfect. Let's have a look at that now. And you can even go lower. So upper body this way. Yeah, and then rest your forearm on your knee. And bring your foot and your knee to a point where that's comfortable for you. Perfect. Do you see how that would work as well? So this is a great shot for a guy. Guys love it. It just works. All right, very good. So, guys, we've talked about how to pose, like a bit of a foundation, an idea of how to pose a girl or a bride on a chair. We've talked about a guy. And of course, there's many, many variations. I'm giving you the foundation to start from and a couple of the pitfalls that I've often done, and I've actually made these mistakes before. But now, how do we photograph a bride and a groom sitting on a chair? Well, who do you think would be better to actually sit on whose lap? Well, of course, you're going to get the groom to sit on the chair and her on the lap. So let's do that first. So first of all, let's just get the groom sitting down on his own first. Okay, so what I want you to do now is I want you to turn your knees and your butt a little bit this way. Perfect. All right. So Lisa, without thinking, I don't want you to pose, don't think like a model or anything like that. I just want you to sit on his lap. Perhaps the way you would do normally. Okay, great. So what's wrong with this picture now? What's wrong with this picture is that we've got the right hand of hers coming out of the shoulder, sort of doing nothing, perhaps looking a little bit awkward. Her knees are close together. Nothing, there's no finesse there. She's facing her body directly towards me. He's got his hand on her butt and there's just no finesse, but I wanted a bit more finesse. So what do we do? Well, first of all, let's make it a bit more intimate. You are going to turn your knees a little bit into him. And now, because you've rolled your hips this way, this now becomes a leg that's closer to the camera, which means that we're going to get this knee over the other one. So cross your legs. Now, what is this leg saying? What is that knee saying? What is that knee begging to be done with? It's basically, well, that's a perfect place to put his hand and her hand over here. Now, this hand, I believe, only works if you bring it over this way. If it's a little bit more around or you do something with the face or something quite tender. Personally, I find that it's a high degree of difficulty when the hand is there because it can look a little bit awkward and a little bit out of place. So if you think it looks awkward, it probably does. Sometimes you just got to get rid of it. So let's come back and let's see what we've got. Now, we're almost there. Perfect. Shoulders back, arch the back, and lean forward this way. Good. Perfect. And now, Dylan, just relax your hair a little bit so we don't have any hair interrupting that moment. That's a really important one. Perfect. So there's a great foundation pose when it comes to a couple sitting. Now, what can we do in that situation? Of course, look at the camera. We could look off to the distance over here. You could kiss his forehead right there, bang. You could actually turn your face, Lisa, this way, and Dylan, you can give her a kiss just right on the cheek. Now you can introduce your hand on his face. Watch the arm pressing up against the body. Both of you lean your upper bodies towards me. Good, beautiful. Do you sort of see how very quickly we can get 2 or 3 shots out of that with no issue? Great, relax a little bit. Guys, this pose actually looks really awesome the other way. So stand up for a second. And I'm going to get you, Dylan as well, I'm going to get you to stand up as well. So Dylan, if you can take a seat for me. Sit on his lap again. So bring your backside, mate, right into the chair there. Good. But you're going to basically sit on his lap, on his right, and you're going to roll your hips a bit more this way. And now you're going to turn your face that way. Beautiful. And just drape really nicely. Gorgeous. Turn your face into hers, mate, because even though that we can't see your head, if your face is looking left, you're not really into what's going on. All right, stay there because I see a problem, which I'm happy to see because I want to show it to you. Do you see how her arm is pressing right up against the body there? Again, she might like it because she's been ripped, she's gone to the gym, she's feeling proud of that muscle, but that's totally fine. All we simply do is just take the pressure off that particular thing there as well. Gorgeous. Now, bring your hand, see how in her left hand on the back of his head, do you see how, from my position at least, it's amputating her fingers? And you know I don't like that, or at least anymore. Bring the hand up a little bit higher, Lisa. Good, and just bring it more this way. More. Good. Gorgeous, love that. Now, yes, by pure nature of the angle of where I am in the pose, her hand is that way, but that's looking a lot better. But what I'm getting at is that you could have taken that shot of Lisa on his lap and totally ignore the fact that you could shoot the other way. Now, either hopefully the lighting is good the other way, or you create the good light, or you simply have the choice to turn that chair around and do exactly what I've done. And again, here you could giggle into the camera, eyes into your shoulder, you could kiss his temple. Beautiful. Come nice close to his ear like you're whispering in his ear. Top of your head away from me, Lisa, so I can see more of your face. No, top of your head away like this. There you go. Turn your face more left. Gorgeous. Beautiful. So all of a sudden, we've got a whole other series of photographs. It just works really well. I love the science behind this because it actually, there are so many choices in the end, you know, and if you're ever running out of poses, guys, or concepts, you've got to ask yourself, well, how many ways do you hug your partner? How do you sit together? How do you walk together? There are endless ways. Now, how do we combine this? Well, how about we do something like this? So now, Dylan, I want you to take a seat like you did before, like really, really cool, leaning on the edge. Yeah, perfect. Do it this way. So your knees are that way. Yep. And then left foot back and the right foot forward, and then you're hanging. That's good. Perfect. So come a little bit more this way. Good. Now, Lisa, I want to get you almost back to back. Okay. So what I love about this particular pose, before I finesse it, is the fact that it's a bit asymmetrical. It's not sort of too perfect. Also, this could be for a couple, perhaps. You know, when you get a couple that are not overtly in love, they're not that lovey-dovey, they're quite sophisticated, they're very proud. You've got a very powerful guy, you've got also a very strong woman, and the energy's arguably, you know, this kind of shot works really well. This could be for a corporate power couple or something like that. So remember, posing is not just about flattery, it's about saying what you want to say about the person that you're photographing. So what we'll do is we'll keep you there, mate, because you look really cool. I want to get you right back so that you're just touching. Good. I want you to point your toe towards the camera, bend the knee, shift the weight back. Beautiful. And now, actually, Lisa, come back a little, shuffle. Keep going. Good. And I want you just leaning here. Good. This hand just on here. Perfect. Gorgeous. Good. Let's come back. Let's have a look. I love this because you've got this beautiful triangular compositions. You've got triangles in both of her arms. You've got the triangle, of course, over the whole pose. You've got triangles on his arms. You've got triangles on his legs. And she's quite perfectly centered in this particular frame. So she looks strong and powerful, this beautiful, strong, gorgeous woman. And then you've got the guy, he's got a strong pose, but even though geographically you would say Lisa covers more of the frame, because of the strength of his pose, they're sort of more in line. And if we're talking about composition, at least in this particular case, I love the fact that, yes, for the sake of this posing tutorial, we're centering this particular shot, but this is actually probably a way I would shoot this picture where she's centered and then he breaks the monotony of this composition. So I love that. I think that actually works really well. Now, if we wanted something a little bit more intimate in this particular environment, we can do something similar, but she just changes her position. So Dylan, stay where you are, but just, I'm going to move the chair with you. So come back a little bit. Okay, very good. Now, I want you to basically stand right between his knees. And then I want you to put your arm right around her, mate. Gorgeous. Okay, perfect. So now, this hand, because you're taller, I find works a bit better. It's sort of framing what he's doing. I want you to turn that knee right in, like we've done before. Bring it right into his hand there. That's good. And beautiful. Now, we've got to be careful that his face is not right in her bust and it looks a little bit weird. So they're going to almost have to form a bit of a V. So basically your body and your face, mate, just separate a little bit. Good. Perfect. I love the way she's sort of leaning back and bringing her face back there a little bit as well. It's got a nice little level of sophistication there as well. And if you want to, we can get them to hold hands together. Let's just try that. So your hand, gorgeous. And then just bend the elbow up a little bit. I'm looking for a gap of air between her elbow and her waist. And again, just separate the chest to the face there a little bit. Good. And turning this way a little bit. That's it. Now, do you see how Dylan is sinking in a little bit? I want to basically, Dylan, pretend I'm just holding you by a piece of string on your head and I'm lifting you up. There we go. Fantastic. So that actually is a really good way of getting someone to sort of stretch out a little bit, because these guys have been troopers. We've been posing them and having some fun all day here with our posing tutorial. So they're getting a bit fatigued as they would normally, but just remember that those are the kinds of actions and things that we can say to work well in as well. Now that they've stretched away, that right hand of hers can look a little bit weird. I feel like, Lisa, we just get rid of that right hand and then it can just sort of come down in a way where I don't see it on the side of your body. Fantastic. Good, guys. So that's a really good way of doing it too. Here's another way that we can actually work with this, and that is I want you to hug him from behind. So, Dylan, if we can just move that chair a bit more forward. Okay, great. Without even thinking, I'm not going to pose you. I just want you to hug him from behind. Let's see what you do automatically. Remember, you get your couple to pose themselves. Let me see if it's worth renovating or having to build from scratch. Now, so I actually don't mind the upper part of the body. I find that because Lisa's leaning so far forward, her booty's out and looks a little bit weird. I actually love this shot, but I would crop it close and I'd crop the awkwardness of the lower part of her body. So really, if we turned, actually do me a favor, Dylan, just hold her hands. Like if she was just to come behind you and wrap, that's it. Beautiful. Now, Lisa, you put your hands on top of his. Beautiful. Bring your left hand over your right. There you go. Beautiful. I love actually that's beautiful. Do it the other way, Lisa. Come back a bit more. You did it beautifully just before. Stop there. Love that. These hands are beautiful. Love these. And now this is just nice and soft. So I love the repetition. And as we've said before, in posing and in many things in life, and for that matter, there's harmony in repetition. Now, yes, she's looking a little bit awkward there. Again, lower part of the body. We're not looking at that. We're looking at the upper part. We're going to be careful of her bicep resting up against his shoulder there as well, but that can actually work. Now, another way of doing this is also just doing a very sophisticated shot in a pose, and that is just getting her to stand up right behind him. So I'm going to get you to basically hold his shoulders, come nice and close this way, come a bit more beyond the chair. Good. And just bend that knee in. Gorgeous. And this one, this is basically, behind every successful man, there's a strong, incredible woman, which is true in my case, certainly, and I'm sure you guys as well. But I like this. So what we can do too, guys, crossing the legs of the groom is always a good thing. Now watch what happens when he crosses his left leg in this position. So just cross your leg, not in that way, but like that. Yep. So it gives him somewhere to put his hands, but we want to be careful that the foot is just facing the camera and looking a little bit weird. Let's switch legs. I find that works a little bit better because it gives him somewhere to go with his hand right here. That's sort of like it's almost begging to just be done there. And of course, even that, nice and relaxed. And I want you, Lisa, just push off a little bit there and then shoulders back, lean forward with the chest a little bit there. Beautiful shape to the body. And now, Dylan, just tilt your head this way. This way. Yeah. So now, here's the thing. I would probably get rid of Lisa's left hand in this position. And you don't really need to see it. You're not really saying, well, where is her left hand? It just works. If you wanted some kind of emotional content in this particular shot, apart from the fact that she's touching him, we could get her hand down, her left hand down, and then basically your right hand could go touch it again there. But bring it up a little bit higher, and Lisa, I want to see your hand on top. Gorgeous. So you see how that can just add that little bit of emotional element there as well, and life is good. This could work full length, this could work close up, this could work in many, many ways. Remember, guys, whatever you're doing, you've got to actually think about posing as not just some structure, not just some, I'm there to flatter someone or whatever. You are there to not only flatter, but make it purposeful and meaningful based upon their relationship. So if you know that this, like He thinks he's the boss, but she is. In other words, she's the one that's just behind him, and she's the strength, she's the rock. This is a good way to say that story, but because she looks strong and feminine and powerful, but he also looks very strong too, and they've both got a beautiful feel to them, and we've got that beautiful triangular composition, which of course is aesthetically pleasing. So remember, sitting down shots can really work in this context. So guys, hope you enjoyed that. There's many other ways that we can do it. I'm giving you, like I said, principles. We've started off our posing tutorial with a lot of principles, but you see how we've applied those principles based upon all those different types of shots that we're doing. So remember, just play and practice. There are so many ways to do this, and of course we're going to explore some more right now.